Hello, this is Dr. Hall. We're going to talk about nutrition and human performance, and we're going to focus this presentation on energy expenditure, carbohydrates, fats, micronutrients, water, and some dietary recommendations. We have in here on the screen the energy or caloric expenditure, which refer to the total number of calories your body uses in a given period, and is typically broken down in three main components. The first is the basal metabolism, and the second one, the esteemed thermic effect of food, and we had the physical activity too. We're going to analyze it one by one. And we're going to start with the first one, with the resting energy expenditure or basal metabolism rate, and then is abbreviated in many ways, RMR or BMR, and which occurs of approximately 60 to 70% of total daily calorie expenditure. And resting energy expenditure consists of the chemical reactions, both anabolic and catabolic, that occur to keep us alive while at rest. These reactions support vital function such as organ function, regeneration, and recovery too. And the percent of total daily calorie expenditure is, as I told before, 60 to 75%, and can vary depending on various biological factors. There are some factors that influencing basal metabolic rate. For example, variability of BMR depends on factors such as body needs to defend itself against an infection could be a possibility, which increase metabolic expenditure. In growing adolescent is another case. Caloric expenditure also increase in another factors in a menstrual cycle, which can affect the BMR. And additionally, increasing muscle mass in our area is another way to boost a resting metabolic rate, which is sometimes personal trainer should consider when design fitness program. And we have in here the second factor that affect an individual daily caloric expenditure is physical activity, primarily through muscle contraction as well as the spontaneous physical activity we perform in daily life, such walking, cleaning, or work-related movements. This accounts for approximately 30 to 20% of total caloric expenditure, and we can take advantage of this because the structured physical exercise aimed to a specific goal, such increasing muscle mass, reducing the body fat, or improving overall health, can increase metabolic expenditure. Additionally, by being aware of this factor, your client can reduce sedentary time and increase spontaneous physical activity. And now we had the last factor in this classification, the number 3 is the thermic effect of food, which is TEF, which accounts for approximately 7 to 10% of caloric expenditure. This basically refers of how the food we consume affect digestion and the process of absorption and assimilation, which require energy. Some foods have a higher thermic effect than others, like proteins, and these are generally ones recommended. So fiber proteins have a higher thermic effect, which require more energy for absorption and assimilation. And now we go for macronutrients. This is the carbohydrate. The primary function of carbohydrate as a key macronutrient is to provide energy, and each gram of carbohydrates supplies 4 kilocalories. It's recommended that carbohydrates make up 60 to 70% of the human diet, and glucose provide energy for long-term continuous activities. And more about carbohydrate is that they recommend carbohydrate intake is different person to person, but minimum of 50 to 100 grams per day is generally required. And for inner exercise science area, for prolonged aerobic exercise, the recommended intake is 2 to 7 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. In contrast, for strength, explosive or speed-based exercise, the recommendation is 5 to 6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. And something very important in here about carbs is the muscle glycogen and liver glycogen are both important sources of glucose in the body, but they serve different roles and are stored in different locations. And for muscle glycogen, the function is primarily used by the muscles themselves during physical activity. It's broken down into glucose for energy during exercise, especially during high intensity activities like sprint or weightlifting. And for liver glycogen, basically the function, this acts as a reservoir to maintain blood glucose level, particularly during fasting periods or between meals. It is broken down into glucose and released into the bloodstream to provide energy to organs including the brain, muscles, and many others. And you can read over there on the screen for important facts, but for example, when an athlete works at intensity of 65% of VO2 max or higher, that's athlete is going to consume glucose as an energy source. Both types of glycogen are crucial for overall energy balance and athletic performance, with muscle glycogen playing more direct role during exercise and liver glycogen maintaining glucose homeostasis in the body. Summarizing this important fact of this carbohydrate storage, because carbohydrate storage is limited, we don't have too much in the human body, and primarily the liver muscles, the liver and the muscles, they storage glycogen to use an energy source during exercise. We can storage about 400 grams of muscle glycogen, which corresponds to approximately 1,600 calories, and around 70 grams of liver glycogen, which correspond about 280 calories. And we are going to switch of macronutrient. We are going to go to fats, and these macronutrients, fats, are more energy dense because each gram of fat provides 9 kilocalories. This means that consuming food with fat will give us more calories, and fats can also be divided in or classified in two main groups. We're going to check it in the next slide. And another important fact, we can read it over there in the screen. Auto storage carbohydrates provide a greater full of source. the body has limited storage capacity when compared with 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 fats, because with fats, basically we can have a 9 kilocalories per gram. That's very important in this case. And about the classification, we have in here, there is a classification of fats into a saturated, monosaturated, and polyunsaturated fat. They are often referred as a bad and good fats in simple terms. But both types are important in right portion, of course. But fat refers to saturated fats such as the low density lipoprotein, while good fats and saturated or polyunsaturated fats that have a different molecular chemical structure. The well-known omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid fall under monosaturated and polysaturated fats, for example, such as a high-density lipoprotein, which is heart protective. And on the other hand, saturated fats tends to generate plaque and atheroma, increasing the risk of cardiovascular metabolic issues. But we can read on the screen the general macronutrient guidelines provided by the dietary guidelines. Advisory committee suggests keeping saturated fat intake below 10% of total calories. This is the recommendation is aimed to promote heart health and reducing the risk of cardiovascular diseases. And more about this macronutrient, more about general guidelines for fats. The distribution of this macronutrient, as we can see on the screen, should range from 15 to 30% of daily calories. However, if the goal is weight loss, it's better to stay closer to 15% threshold. Conservatively, if the aim is to increase caloric intake, one can approach to 30% mark. Consuming less than 15% fat can lead to difficulties in absorbing fat-soluble vitamins, as the vitamins dissolve in fats, and some hormones also are considered for this proper function, like testosterone. And the importance of knowing cholesterol reference values for us as an exercise professional is to be aware, so you can have over there the reference of cholesterol levels, reference values, HDL, high density lipoprotein, low density lipoprotein, LDL, and total cholesterol. In case of elevated levels, it's crucial to consult a specialist. Additionally, it's important to recognize that there is no need to fear fat consumption, and it is essentially necessary macronutrient for our body. And the micronutrients, the substance we will discuss next, are micronutrients, which do not provide energy directly but are crucial for maintaining proper metabolism and preventing imbalance. This includes vitamins and minerals and fat-soluble vitamins, as you can see in the classification. As we told before, these vitamins dissolve in fats, and it's essential to consume an adequate amount of fats. Remember, 15 to 30% of daily intake for a proper absorption of these vitamins. For example, someone trying to lose weight and consuming less than 15% of fat maybe can be at risk of deficiency in these vitamins. However, it is important to consume in balanced amounts and avoid excessive intake through supplements, for example, and water soluble vitamins such as vitamin C and B vitamins of the complex B are a different kind of vitamins. Do not provide energy directly, but play a role modulating energy by acting as a catalyst for various bodily function. If consumed excess, they can be excreted through the urinary system. And now we go for the minerals, and this can be classified in three groups: macrominerals, microminerals, and trace elements. Macrominerals are required in larger amounts, while microminerals are needed in smaller quantities. Trace elements are required in even smaller amounts, just a tiny pinch, but they are still essential. For example, macronutrients include calcium, sodium, and potassium, which are found in the body in larger amounts. Micronutrients like iron are vital for oxygen exchange, for example, in red blood cells and hemoglobin. And examples of a trace element is manganese, which plays a role in various metabolic functions, including energy production and bone metabolism. And now let's talk about another nutrient that is not classified as a macronutrient or micronutrient because it does not provide calories, but without water we cannot survive. And water is the medium through which our bodies function, and 2/3 of body is composed of water. If we don't drink water consistently, we will begin to dehydrate, and we need to continuously compensate this loss by drinking water to maintain proper fluid balance and health. And in here we can observe that we have a fluid balance, and we are going to talk about hydration status, because we lose water through various channels, as you can see on the screen: urine, skins, lungs, and faces. And to maintain proper hydration balance, the intake of water must to be equal to the loss. And the key to achieving this balance and preventing dehydration is by just drinking water. And daily physical activity, your body is going to losses primarily through sweating and respiration, and if not replacing, this can impair exercise performance. Electrolyte balance can also be affected, especially with prolonged or intense exercise, which is why support drinks may be recommended for rehydration, such is situation. In short, water is indispensable for near or every biological function, and staying hydrated is key to maintaining good health and optimal performance. So these factors is essential in an important context in our area in sports. That's why there are specific recommendation for proper hydration before, during, and after water. Before exercise, is recommended to drink like 5 to 7 millimeters per kilograms of body weight, and about 4 hours prior the activity. During exercise, the amount depends on the individual factors such as person time, sport, duration, intensity, environmental condition like humidity. And after exercise, is generally recommended consume 600 to 700 milliliters. Although it can be very depending of the situation, and also a recommendation depends of the sport is a drink. Isotonic drinks may also be included in this fact. And other factor in here about dehydration control, regarding the dehydration control, it is mentioned that when we lose 2 to 3% of our body weight, dehydration begins. We might not to feel it like immediately, but when we feel thirsty, it already indicates a certain level of dehydration. Our role, at least in this context, is to ensure that the individual consumes or drink enough water to avoid dehydration related health issues, and to help your client maintain their proper performance level as much as possible. Additionally, the color of urine, you can observe a urine color chart in the screen, is an indicator of dehydration, and the more dehydrated we become, the darker the color of our urine. This is where we can make the difference through education by helping people understand this indication. And for example, we're going to switch to other topics. Dietary recommendation for weight gain, and we have in here some situation. Gaining weight in a sport can be beneficial, being heavier and having higher amount of body mass. That can lead to better performance in some sports, and in some cases it may be related with to aesthetic goals. And more about dietary recommendation for weight. In this context, training combined with nutrition plays a very important role. There are several guidelines. We providing here two important factors. The number one is maintain positive caloric balance. The aim for caloric sport plus of 350 to 700 calories per day to promote muscle growth, and allowing your gain 450 to 900 grams of muscle. And protein intake recommendation, remember, in this case is recommended consume between 1.2 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. Ideally, you should aim for the upper end of this range, around 2 grams. And essential amino acid, particularly branched-chain amino acid, the BCAAs, play a significant role in muscle growth and recovery. Therefore, it's advised to consume proteins with high biological value that provide a greater portion of essential amino acids. It's good. And the dietary recommendation, but for weight loss, as you can read it on the screen, regarding weight loss, training combined with nutrition plays a crucial role in, and however, it is important to maintain a caloric deficit of 500 to 1000 calories per day, with the goal of losing approximately 0.5 to 1 kilograms per week. Ideally, weight loss should be around 1% of your body weight per week. And understanding caloric balance is essential by maintaining that control negative caloric balance. Weight loss can occur gradually with a recommended target of losing around 500 grams per week, for example. These are general recommendations. It's important to avoid dehydration in individuals aiming to lose weight, as well as to ensure they don't lose essential micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals while maintaining this caloric deficit. Sustaining negative caloric balance can impact the person overall health if not managed carefully. Well, this was the topic of nutrition human performance, focusing in energy expenditure, carbohydrates, fats, water, and dietary recommendation. Basically, for a weight gain and a weight loss.